Okay, yeah, I know it's been a while. But, now I have some free time and all of those things. So now I can finally do what if Naruto had bioelectrical aura. Now I know I've already done two videos like this on MHA, but bioelectrical aura is a little bit different. On top of it, just in general being a lot different, I wanted to do this one because first off, my channel has been inactive for a while, and also because, I feel like you guys have deserved a video and need to get away from those weird what ifers that have to do those perverted what ifs or whatever. I don't know what the hell is wrong with them, but yeah, I'm gonna be returning back to my old self no matter what. So it's gonna be a little bit different. You feel me? It's gonna be my old, aggressive, killy side, not my family watches my video side. So I'm gonna continue my, entire personality. So without a further ado, let's get to it. Alright, so look, right? Basically, the way that this will be set up is Naruto, he basically has the exact same origin story. The only difference is he had a mutation, which inside of OG Naruto, we found out is not uncommon. It isn't uncommon inside of Naruto for there to be mutations. There have been multiple people that have different types of mutations. For this, it basically makes it so that Naruto is able to make a make electrons. He's able to make an abnormal amount of electricity, but that's only on the scientific side. He's not controlling electricity or using the electricity inside of his body. He's physically making electrons, and he can control them the way that he wants to. So I ain't even gonna cap. The way that he finds this out is when he was a kid on some, uh, basically he was getting beaten up by a grown ass adult because people hate Azuku. I'm not Azuku. God dang, people hate Naruto. So they beating on him on some. They like they calling him all types of names. Just beating him on him bad. And Naruto would be getting tired of it on some. And eventually he began fighting back. Even though he's never really fought back when it comes to adults, or he might, throw a few lousy punches. He's he's just tired of it. He's just tired of the bullying. He's tired of the pain. He's basically defending himself because he does not want to, be hurt anymore. He wants to be free. He wants to be like every other kid. And he won't let any random person that is angry at him for something that he can't control or like some other reason, ruin his life. So then he throw a punch back at the villager on some. After he throws this punch, an abnormal amount of sorry, my dog is messing with me. An abnormal amount of electricity comes off his arm basically and hits him. Hits him so hard that it sends the villager flying. So Naruto's kind of just sitting there stunned until he comes back to his senses and runs over to the villager. Now, the villager looks to be shaking, but he doesn't seem to be seizing. It's more like his muscles are contracting and like kind of like contracting and uncontracting repeatedly on some. So they're physically fine. It's literally just the fact that they got hit with a lot of electricity. Naruto would be looking at his hands and basically be thinking to himself, what happened? As, he's kind of squeezing his hands trying to see if he could make it happen again, but he notices not even a single thing happens. It's like normal, basically. So eventually, Naruto would eventually, give up on it, and he'd sigh, and he ended up just leaving also. The next day, he gets to the academy. Everybody ignores him as normal when he busts through the doors and says hi. The only real people that really, even ponder his existence are Sakura and sometimes Shikamaru. Now, Shikamaru always is calm and chill, but for some reason they're always seeming to butt heads. Naruto thinks that Shikamaru is extremely stuck up and that, he basically thinks that he's better than everybody just because he's smart. But that's not the most of it. The person that he hates the most out of all of this class is that dumb Uchiha Sasuke. Why does everybody always treat him like he's different? Like he's special? And, he kind of feels some type of way about it. Also, anytime that he tries to make any type of contact with Sasuke, he always acts stuck up and like he doesn't have enough time to talk to Naruto. So Naruto would be taking this personally. I ain't even gonna cap. Eventually, class goes on. Ruka starts telling them about different types of tactics for battle if they want to become ninja. Naruto would just kind of be sitting there bored and, basically ready to leave. Eventually, he would leave on some. But right when he's about to leave, he ends up bumping heads with Sasuke. Literally. They both tried to get out the door at the exact amount of time. See, this is back when Naruto and Sasuke were 5. Back when Sasuke actually still enjoyed being around people. But nonetheless, he falls to the ground, Sasuke falls to the ground. Naruto's instant reaction is to call Sasuke an idiot because why are you bumping into me? Sasuke then looks up at him and calls him nothing but a damn fool. And, you know, Naruto takes it personally and he's like, you always think that you're better than me and you always think that someone like you always feel like everybody should bow down to you and treat you like a king. And then Sasuke says, not everybody, just you. As I ain't even gonna lie, this would basically cause Naruto to tackle Sasuke and them ended up fighting. Now, eventually Iruka will pull them away and Naruto would call Sasuke a pussy. Sasuke would be like, okay, if that's true, come and fight me at the battlegrounds. Naruto thinks about it for a few seconds, but then he, just calls him an idiot and walks away. Even though Naruto, hates Sasuke a lot, he's not a coward and he's not stupid. He's not gonna fight someone that, like Sasuke Uchiha. Especially someone that could easily beat him. Naruto then eventually ends up going back to his house. And he ends up, basically sighing to himself. Basically being like, why does this always have to happen to me? As he kind of just laid down inside of his bed and just sighed. He's always wondered, why do people inside the village treat him so meanly? He gets that he causes pranks every now and again, but they hate him. They don't just dislike him. They genuinely hate him. It's like they have a reason. But as far as he knows, they've always treated him like this, even before he started being a prankster. When he was a toddler, when he was, small as he could remember, everybody's always treated him this way. Which basically caused him to give a I don't give a fuck attitude and end up being like, if nobody's gonna like me, nobody's gonna like me. And, kind of leave it at that. So he kind of just lays down inside the bed and thinks to himself, I wonder why everybody just hates me. I wonder why everybody keeps whispering around me, shushing each other, acting like there's some type of big conspiracy. As, he kind of just lay down again and he'd be like, I don't know. As he quickly gets up and goes and makes himself a cup of ramen. He's kind of eating his ramen happily because, ramen is one of the few things that actually make him happy. Well, and Sakura, but Sakura doesn't necessarily like him. But again, nobody does. As he's eating his ramen or some, he kind of stops and kind of thinks to himself, As he looks over at his hand, as he kind of places down the bowl of ramen, kind of scoots over to the middle of the room, so then just in case anything happens, he can literally just move and make sure nothing's destroyed. Naruto then closes his eyes and begins to focus. The same way that he would with chakra, but a little bit different. More like imagining electricity beginning to form in his hand. And then he kind of opens his eyes, and guess what? There's nothing. As this kind of stresses him out, as he ends up kind of grunting and, frizzing up his hair and kind of, scooting back to the table and, eating the food on some. So he kind of gets to the last bite on some as he bites into the food, as he says, ow! As, I ain't even gonna lie, he kind of drops the fuck. Give me a second, because my dog's trying to play with me. He ends up dropping the fork. That's what I was trying to say. After he drops the fork, he basically is confused on what the heck happened, as he's wondering if he got another cavity due to eating so much ramen. As he realized there's a little spark of electricity that comes off of the fork that he was just holding. He looks back at his hand as he sees a bunch of electricity coming off of there. As, he kind of laughs as he says, I guess that just wasn't a one-time thing. I ain't even gonna lie. Eventually, he ends up getting up, and he's like, I wonder if I should tell the Hokage about this. As he says, no, he's probably busy. Also, I don't know what they would do if I all of a sudden developed a Kekkei. He does know about Kekkei, but he doesn't really know much about them. As far as he knows, most of them are jutsus that you don't necessarily need a hand signs for. But it doesn't feel like when the electricity is going off his hand like his chakra is being drained. It more feels like his hand is being extended, but also moving. Or not even his hand, more like a finger, or extra fingers. Many different versions of it, actually. It kind of feels like a frizzing feeling, like absolute power. Kind of like after you get out of the gym and then realize you're stronger than ever. He then ends up, waiting a little bit longer and then going outside. He ends up going outside to the training grounds. The training grounds are mostly cleared out, There's some kids still practicing there, so he sits up against, a training post and he waits for him to leave. Eventually the kid leaves whilst looking at Naruto weirdly, since he's literally just sitting at the training grounds doing nothing. Now, Naruto kind of waits a few more minutes as, he kind of smiles and stands up. As he looks at his hands and points them out. As he says, okay, now go! Go. Shoot. Buzz buzz. Scoop scoop. Something? As, he then begins to scream as he's like, what am I supposed to do? What's supposed to happen? As, as he's waving around his hand, he then sees a bolt of electricity shoot out of his hand into a tree. As he kind of pauses as he says, it more or less feels like I'm extending my hand. As he tries it again, as he basically sees another bolt of electricity come out, but this time, it doesn't shoot away. It's more like it stays into his hand. Kind of like the ball that's formed right here, but more of like a circle. He's kind of sitting there, stunned, basically shocked at what he's seeing. As, he closes his hand and ends up smiling. She says, now I'll be able to become Hokage even easier than I was before. as he kind of thinks to himself as he says, being Hokage is about strength and determination. With this, I can build as much strength as I would ever need. As, he kind of gives himself a proud smile. As, he kind of opens back up his hand as he's like, okay, let's get back to training. I know if Faruka knew that I had this, he'd just keep nagging me about training, training, training. As he kind of sighs as he ends up, using his abilities. Okay, time skip. 2 years later. This is after the Uchiha massacre, obviously. And Naruto would have gotten accustomed to using his abilities. After this point, he then figures out that it's more of like an aura than just electricity manipulation. He definitely knows it doesn't take chakra. It's more like he never gets tired. And he realizes that he can only emit it in terms of inside of small bursts. He can't create any long lines, can't create lightning dragons, nothing like an actual jutsu. It's more or less like he can just emit electricity and shape it. So he kind of frowns and realizes that this is kind of, anticlimactic. Sorry, my phone powered off. Anticlimactic. As he then thinks to himself, if it's like an aura, then that means it can come out of any part of his body. As he sighs, as he's like, I'm about to do something very, very dumb. As he walks over to a, what is it called? Power line. As he says, I really hope this doesn't kill me. As he puts his hand to the power line, as he closes his eyes, as, he kind of waits there, as he opens it back up, as he's like, it looks like nothing's happening. As soon as he says that, he gets filled with about 5,000 volts of electricity, as he falls directly towards the ground and passes out. Naruto then wakes up inside the hospital. They end up telling him that, for some reason, people found him there, basically passed out. It smelled like he was burnt, but it didn't look like it at all. You were passed out near a power line, so maybe something like that happened, but usually there's electricity burns. As he kind of looks at his hand, as she's like, there seems to be no burns on your body. Naruto then he's kind of confused. Even though he has the ability to use electricity, it's able to hurt him. But at the same time of hurting him, it's not able to scar him, which is confusing. Naruto then looks up at her as he says, hey, I got a question. As, she kind of turns back around being nice as she says, yes, what is it? As he says, where was I when I was passed out? Like, what part of the village? As she says, oh, you were around near the Hokage's office. As, Naruto basically freezes. As he basically kind of becomes wide-eyed. As she says, is something wrong with that? He's like, no, I'm fine. As he, basically begins to smile. As she kind of looks at him and she's like, okay, tell me if there's any problems. Because you did just kind of pass out of nowhere. As he kind of nods as she walks off. The reason why he's so shocked is because he was at his house. The power line near his house. He was nowhere close to the Hokage's office. As, he kind of lays down as he kind of smiles a little bit. As he then realizes he can teleport. Either that or, his brain got fried, and then he started walking around the village and just passed out somewhere. So he says, hopefully that first option. As, time skip a little bit more. Naruto has a little bit of time to, use his powers, and eventually, and I do mean eventually, he gains enough, what's the word? Give me a second, I gotta think of the word. I still have my brain farts time to time. Courage. He builds enough courage to, eventually go back to the power line. As, he touches it. As he closes his eyes. As he basically breathes inwards. And instead of thinking about emitting electricity outwards, he thinks about pulling it inwards. More like extending his arm and then pulling it back extremely quickly. As he feels a jolt of electricity and a jolt of pain. As his vision then goes black. And then it's almost like all of a sudden it feels like his entire body is filled with a bunch of energy, kind of like a sugar rush. And then his vision goes back to normal, and all of a sudden he's on the entire other part of the village. Kind of near the Uchiha compound, or where it used to be. As he kind of tilts his head as he's like, what the hell just happened? As he basically looks at himself as he's like, that definitely wasn't teleportation. If it was, it would have been more instant. As soon as he says that, he looks down at his arms as he sees one of his arms form from electricity into a human being from outside of the pole. As he kind of says, wait, I can't teleport, but I'm able to travel through electricity. As, he kind of looks up at the sky smiling as he says, this is going to be fun. As, he kind of laughs a little bit and falls onto his back. That's where I'm going to end this. I hope that it was fine. It's a part 1. It was not supposed to be too lively, but it was at least supposed to catch your attention. So if it did, comment peaches or something like that if you want to. Subscribe, like if you really want to. If you enjoy my videos, then say you do. With that, have a good day. Goodbye.